everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm finally back from the depths of despair, otherwise known as a 4-day migraine, and I decided to do a video I've actually been kind of excited about doing for a while. It's going to be a very extremely product heavy video. So basically what it is giving product recommendations for the palest of the fairest of the pale out there. So today's video will actually be part of a 5-video mini series. There will be 2 videos going up today. There will be 1 video going up tomorrow on Thursday. Friday's video will be a regular makeup tutorial as planned, and then on Saturday there will be 2 bonus videos, and that will be how all these 5 videos are going to go up. But of course, if you follow me on Twitter, I always announce uploads there. And then I will be putting them all into a playlist at the end if you want to recap on them. And then Sunday's video, as usual, will be Shiv's Stash. Even though I know that was supposed to go up last Sunday, but I am still, like I said, on the end of this migraine, so that just was not going to happen. So these videos are for you girls and guys out there who are the absolute fairest of the fair and the palest of the pale. I'm talking about my NW13, NW10 in MAC terms, or NC10, NC15, not really up above beyond NC15, because once you go beyond NC15 and NC20 and like NW15, you guys are much more heavily represented in the drugstore and in the pharmacy and in the department store when it comes to makeup shades to suit you. It's really the fairest of the fair out there who do struggle to get shades that won't give them like marks on their jawline, and that happens to me quite a lot as well, because there'll be loads of times when I am trying out a foundation for the first time, and I may try it out when I'm doing a video, and I will get comments off people saying that, you know, my foundation or my face is darker than my neck, and that's usually the reason why. I mean, I kind of know in my own stash what's too dark and what's not, but it's usually trying the new foundations that will do that to me. And yeah, it's definitely something I struggle with a little bit as well. So in the first of these videos, I'm going to be covering primers, sunblocks and bases for your foundation. These are ones that I think will either enhance a lovely porcelain complexion without obviously adding any depth to it, or will give you the sunblock that you need, the sun protection that you need if you are a type 1 or type 2 skin. Then in the second video, I'm going to be covering some of my favourite foundation recommendations for the very fair to the fair skinned. In the third video, I'm going to be covering setting powders, and I have a lot of setting powders, but these are all the ones that will not add any more colour over your foundation, which can happen a lot, especially if you are very fair or if you have, you know, kind of a whitish neck. Then in the fourth video, which will go up on Saturday along with the 5th video, I will be covering the concealers, and then in video number 5, which is the last video, I will go over the highlighters, contour and bronzers, yes, for very fair skin. So I really hope this helps you guys. If you do have any questions, make sure you leave them below, but I'm just going to jump into the first part of this video now, and if you want to see part 2, just follow the link up here, or it'll also be linked to below. So thanks a million for watching, guys. Cheers. So I'm going to start off with primers and sunblock, because of course if you are extremely fair, verging on like milk bottle white, and you are type 1 skin, which is what my little sister is. She is blonde hair, blue eyes and paler than me. She's more of an NW10, and that means that you pretty much don't tan ever. You will just burn by looking at the skin. You have to, by looking at the sun, you have to be really careful about your skin. So I think wearing an SPF of 30 and above is absolutely a must. That's what I wear every day. So my absolute daily sunblock is this guy, which is the Simple Kind to Skin Protecting Moisture Cream SPF 30. And this is what I use on a daily basis. Not really when I'm out in the sun and spending a lot of time in the sun, but just when I'm like sitting in front of the window for a long time or whatever. So this is a good makeup base as well, but I feel like I'm fairly protected with the SPF 30 in this, and it is a nice base for your makeup. It's a lovely moisturiser without being too heavy or emollient, so I definitely recommend this guy. Next, moving on to full-on SPFs, but these are ones that work very well as makeup primers. First of all is the Vichy Capital Soleil SPF 50. This is the kind of thing I'll move on to then if I am actually spending time out in the sun. Now the reason I love this is because this is a mattifying primer, or sunblock, so it's really good for keeping you from sweating your face off or from getting too shiny, because I know a lot of sunblocks can be quite shiny and just give that just that glow that you mightn't want. So that's why I love this. I think there is a 30 available in this as well, but the 50 is amazing. So definitely if you are as pale as me, or if you are a little bit more fair, again, definitely go for this guy. If you are looking for something else similar but not as matte, this guy by La Roche-Posay, it is the Anthelios XL. This is another SPF 50 and this is very water resistant. So this is great. Gives a little bit more of that glow though, so it might be more suitable for dry skin, and I love this. This is great for anyone who is extremely sensitive to the sun and may suffer from allergies. So that's another one I would highly recommend. If you're looking for something a little bit more affordable but still quite water resistant, this guy by SOLTAN, it is the Once Face. There is an 8-hour sun protection here and it's the SPF of 30. These are UVB and UVA, all of these, because I think it's important to make sure you have the UVA and the UVB in them. So that's another great one, and this one is much more affordable. The next product is a primer which has a high SPF in it. Love this. This is the ISADORA PROTect SPF 30 Face Primer. This is just a clear liquid. It doesn't give any cast or anything like that. And I absolutely love this for more dry, normal to dry skin types. This is just a really lovely hydrating. It gives a bit of radiance to the skin and it is a great primer, but the SPF 30 is what really sells me on this. So that's why I highly, highly recommend that. Then one of my all-time favourite primers and slash sunblocks for very, very fair skin is the Super City Block by Clinique. I've just repurchased this because I just gave my other one to my little sister who, like I said, is a type 1 skin. So if you're not sure what that means, you can always look it up. Basically, type 1 skins are the ones that will burn straight away. They don't keep a tan. So my little sister could burn, but she wouldn't turn brown. Whereas I am a type 2 skin, which means that I would go out, I would burn, but I would tan. But it would be with persistent sun and persistent kind of burning that I would eventually tan. So yeah, these are kind of like the ones that you really have to be careful of in the sun. But I love this guy. It's only €23. Now, one of the reasons I love this is that it gives a very slightly yellowy grey cast. And the reason I like this, because a lot of the very, very fair skin tones, particularly in Ireland, Celtic fair skin is different to fair skin around the rest of the world, just so you know. We tend to be very, very highly coloured, as in we'd get a high colouring of redness, particularly with sun. So this with a tiny bit of yellow cast, without it being overpoweringly yellow or like deep, will help neutralise a little bit of that red. So that's one of the reasons I like that. A lot of the other primers out there that neutralize red can be too strong in pigment, so even though like there's enough yellow in them or whatever that they will neutralize redness, they would just still be too dark for the very, very fair. And I don't know if I mentioned, this is the SPF 40, which is the one I recommend. There is an SPF of 25, but I would recommend that for slightly deeper skin tones. Now, moving on to more primers. Now, these guys are pretty much the same thing. This was the MAC Prep and Prime Fortified Skin Enhancer. Well, it was called an Illuminator back in the day, and now this is the CC cream. So they're the same thing essentially. They were just repackaged and reformulated a little bit. The old one had the SPF 35, the new one has the SPF of 30. Again, there's not much of a difference. I'd still be quite happy with the SPF of 30, but basically what this is a pink kind of illuminating colour corrector, and you can see there it has that lovely lavender colour. So what this will do is, if you're a little bit like myself where my face is darker than my neck, and it's from sun damage from years ago, so when I use a lavender corrector like this, it actually brightens up my face and it brings it down to match my neck a little bit better. So that's what I think this is really, really good for. I find most people who are a deeper skin tone will find this looks way too ashy on them, but that's what I love for it on me. So anyone, like I said, like myself, who is a little bit more on the slightly more yellow sallow side, but very, very fair, and you want to lighten up your face a little bit, this is the guy to go for. And of course it has the SPF of 30. Now, quickly finishing up with my last two primers, we have this guy here by Chanel, which is Le Blanc de Chanel. I actually just bought this week. This is a multi-use illuminating base. Basically, it's a primer. It gives a very slight white cast to the skin, which I absolutely invite in for myself or for anyone else who is very, very fair. But you could still use it on darker skin tones, but I just love that it gives this beautiful light radiance to the skin. It's great for all skin types because it has like an emollient feeling, so it'll feel very comfortable on drier skin types, but it does actually contain powders. It contains talc and silica, which I find don't actually like dry out my skin, but it will help absorb any oil. So that's a really good one to go for, and I'm very, very excited about this one. And then this is what's kind of hailed as its dupe, even though I do think there is a difference, but this is the L'Oreal Lumi Magique base by L'Oreal, I said that, and this is the Pure Light Primer. So again, this is another very, very light white illuminating radiance primer. This one is much more liquid, it's not quite as emollient feeling, and again you have that pure white cast, so this is great for any of us fair girls who do want to have a really light like illuminating base underneath their foundation. Or what you could do is actually mix this in with your foundation as well, which is always an option, particularly if you have a foundation that's a shade to half a shade too dark and you want to lighten it up a little bit. So that is the end of my bases slash primers and SPFs, and if you're interested in my foundation recommendations, just follow the link up here and it'll also be linked to below. Thanks a million for watching, guys, and if you have any questions, leave them below for me. Cheers!